Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier. So today in this particular video I am going to discuss one very interesting architecture, and that is serverless manual approval steps in AWS Step Function and Amazon API Gateway. Okay, that is many times for a particular pipeline run in different steps we need manual approval or human interference. Okay, that is one particular mail will be sent to a particular person, and then if the person approve or reject, based on that our pipeline will follow the further steps. Okay, now how we can implement that one in AWS in a serverless manner using serverless services, that's what I am going to discuss. Okay, and here basically we are going to run a step function where in the middle we need human approval, right? And how to implement that I am going to discuss. And here basically we are going to use the concept of callback in AWS Step Function. That if you recall our previous videos, I have already discussed that you can call an AWS service from AWS Step Function with task token. Okay, and when you send the task token, the step function will wait. It will not proceed further until and unless the token is returned with some payload. It will not proceed. Okay, as soon as it get back that particular token which it sent, then it will proceed with the next steps. Okay, so here we will follow that particular callback functionality of step function to implement this human approval process. So here is the architecture. What the architecture is doing, like just for example, consider a pipeline which we have to build for approval from manager for a particular employee's promotion. So that step function we have to build. What the pipeline will do, we will provide input manager's mail address and the employee name for whom we are requesting for approval. Okay, that two key value pair will be input of a step function. Now what will happen, the step function will send the callback token with these two input to SQS queue. Okay, from the SQS queue it will call a Lambda function, which is basically we can say as callback handler. What the Lambda will do, Lambda will send the mail to the manager. It will say like this way that please check this particular employee is nominated for promotion, whether you are okay with this or not. So based on that, please approve if you are okay with this employee's promotion, or please reject. Okay, like that pipeline we want to build. So what will happen, this particular Lambda using simple email service will send a mail to the manager, okay, with the employee name, and there two links will be available. One link will be for approval, one link will be for rejection. And now the manager will approve or reject. Okay, and those links are nothing but created in Amazon API Gateway. Okay, now in those links only we will incorporate or add task token as query string. That way for different employees, different task token will be there, and it will be uniquely identified. Whenever for some other employees the same pipeline will run, it will have some other query string in the task token. Okay, like that it will work. Now suppose manager click on any of the link, those are basically nothing but generated in API Gateway, and based on approval click link or rejection click link, another Lambda will trigger in the backend which will handle approve or deny case. Okay, that is if the manager click on approval link, then one particular Lambda will be called which will send that particular token which is already added with that API as query string. Along with that token it will send okay, the manager has approved. Okay, and here our in this side in the step function it is still waiting because it is waiting for the response with the task token. Okay, so that's what is shown here, ask user wait for response. And maybe if manager click on rejection link, then another Lambda will be called which will basically send the task token along with the deny concept. Okay, that this Lambda will say that okay, the manager has denied or rejected the appraisal for that particular employee. Okay, and then once the step function get that particular token, it will proceed with the next step. That's how the simple architecture looks like in case of human interference or human approval, right? And this particular human approval scenario might appear in some other context also, maybe in code merge or some other security token handle, any cases, right? So let's try to build this particular architecture without any further delay in our AWS. Okay, so here I have written some steps in our step function. So here first let's look into this step function code. Okay, so I will just copy this particular code and I will first paste in my step function console and then explain you what it is doing, right? So let's copy that. Here I'll go to state machine, create state machine, design workflow visually. I will go to next. I'll go to next. Here in this JSON, I will replace with my JSON, and now I will go to previous. Okay, I'll make that at center. So if you see, it is a very simple step function. First, it is publishing the message with the task token in an SQS queue. Okay, so here because we want to send the task token, so if you observe here, wait for callback is checked. Okay, and here in the input for the SQS queue, along with the actual input of step function, we are passing this particular key value pair, which is basically sending the task token to our SQS queue. Okay, now in the backend, the Lambda will run, manager will approve or reject. Based on that, whenever it will get back the task token along with the required outcome, it will do a validation. What it will do? It will check in the body of the output of the step function whether it is approved or not. If it is approved, it will go to success block. If it is rejected, then it will go to fail block. Okay, that's how the simple pipeline works. So here some error we are seeing. So the error is basically here we need to configure our SQS queue. So here what I will do, I will go to AWS Management Console, and here I will create an SQS queue. Basically this is the one. Okay, as per the architecture. So here I will search for SQS. Okay. So here I'll go to create queue, demo human approval, some name I am keeping, and then keeping all other properties as default, I will create this particular queue. Okay. So here if you see, currently the queue is basically empty, and now in this particular step function, here we will put our SQS queue URL, right? Now once that is done, we are almost ready with our step function. No other changes needed to be done. So I will go to next, then I will go to next, and here I will provide this step function name as human approval based step function. Some random name I have given, and here what I will do, I will create the state machine. Okay, so here our state machine got created, right? Now what is the next step? Our next step is, once the step function publishes the manager mail address, employee name, and the task token in SQS queue, from the SQS queue there should be a Lambda which will consume the task token and other information, and then it will prepare the mail and send that, right? So this is called callback handler. Callback handler is nothing but directly integrated with SQS. It will just take that particular request. Okay. So the callback handler Lambda code is same like I discussed earlier, just little bit change will be there. Basically, I will be adding the SES or simple email service part along with that. Okay. So here if you see the code, import JSON, import Boto3, import time. Okay, JSON is required for JSON.loads or JSON.dumps, etc. Boto3 is required to create the client for simple email service. Okay, import time we have taken if we need time.sleep, etc. for that purpose. And import URL lib. So URL lib is basically required for properly formatting our URL whenever we will be sending in the mail. There one approval link and one rejection link will be available, right? So that need to be sent properly. So for that we are using this URL lib Python package. Okay. Here we are creating the client for our simple email service. Then here this is our main Lambda function. So if you recall in my previous video also, the main message part we extracted like this way. Basically this main message is containing the input of our step function as well as the task token. Okay. Now here we are extracting the input, and in this particular input we will be having our manager's mail address and employee name. So from that we are extracting manager's mail address and employee name by using simple dictionary concept. We are extracting the task token also. We are printing the task token, that is optional. If you want you can ignore this line. And then here task token we are basically encoding properly, because this we need to send using API gateway as query string. Okay. And then here in the simple email service body, here if you observe the body, hi, this particular here we have given a placeholder. Here basically the employee name for which we are requesting for promotion, that name will be coming. That person has been nominated for promotion. Can you please approve? And then here one approval link for our API will be there. If you see at the end here, after dev is basically nothing but our deployment environment, and then approve is basically resource path. Okay. And in the same API we can make another resource path called reject. And if you see after question mark, task token is there. So for individual employee, whenever request will be generated, they will be assigning different task token, and manager will click that. Based on that, our step function will approve or reject. Okay, simple. So here in the placeholder, here we are putting the employee to be promoted in this particular place, and here task token here we need to enter, and here also that's what we are putting there. Okay, right? I hope up to this it is very simple. In the body part, we are keeping your approval needed for promotion, and then here we are passing the HTML body. Okay, right? And then here we are using the ACS client to send the email, and then here we are printing the email is sent successfully. Okay, as simple as that. A simple code. I will just copy this particular piece of code, and then here I will go to my Lambda function and I will add that. Okay, so here I go to Lambda, create function, callback handler white. Here I am keeping as Python, and whatever API I have used, basically this API and this API, I'll be showing you how to generate that, and we will replace with our required API. Okay, don't worry on that. So here I will delete this code and paste that here. Okay, as of now I will deploy this one. Then I will go to configuration. I'll go to general configuration. For safe side, I will increase the timeout to 30 seconds. And then here I will go to permission, and here I will add different permission. Like if you observe the architecture, this particular Lambda is reading from SQS queue. It is basically calling ACS. So this kind of access we need to provide, right? So here I will go to add permission, and then here I will first use SQS, and then here I will attach SQS full access. Okay. Apart from that, I will search for ACS simple email service, and here Amazon ACS full access also I'll be providing, and then here I will attach the policies. As simple as that. Okay, it is done. Now here what we will do, if I go to this particular code, our code is almost ready. Now we need to make sure one thing, that when we are using ACS, if we are in sandbox environment, then using which mail address we will send the mail, or using which we will be receiving, that has to be validated. Otherwise it will throw error. Okay, if you are in production environment, that's fine, you no need to worry. But you are in sandbox environment, then you need to validate the email address before using that in simple email service. So I will verify those. So here I will go to AWS management console, and here I will go to ACS. Okay, and here I have created 2 dummy email addresses, so I'll be using that for this particular experiment. So here this is my mail address which I'll be using for this particular experiment, and here I will create an identity in ACS. Okay, one dummy mail address I have created, and here I will click on create identity. Okay, so here it is. If I go to ACS console, here you will see that verification pending. If I go to my mail, here one verification link came. I will just click on that so that it will be verified and we can use this in our experiment. So it is verified, and if I refresh this particular page now, here you will see that this email address is verified. Okay, so that way we can use this particular mail address. Okay, cool. Now here if you see, what is the next step? Here in this particular Lambda, we need to create proper APIs for our experiment. Like here if you observe the architecture, in the mail we will be sharing 2 links. One is approval link, one is rejection link. So those we need to create. Okay, so here what I will do, I will go to AWS management console, and then here I will go to API gateway, and here I will create 2 simple API. Okay, one for approval, one for reject. Basically only one API will be there with 2 different resource paths. Okay, so here I will give the API name human hello yt, some random name I am keeping, and then here I'll go to next. Okay, so maybe I will deploy this in development environment. Okay, and then here I will keep auto deploy, and then here I will go to next, and then here what I will do, I will create this particular API. Okay, so here our API is getting created. Now I'll go to routes. Here I need to create 2 different routes. One is for approval, one is for rejection. And if you observe the architecture, whenever manager will click on approval link or rejection link, in the back end, the Lambda should be triggered. Okay, right? So for approval and rejection also you need to create the Lambda. So that Lambda is very simple. What it is doing for approve handler, if you see, this is the Lambda function. All it is doing, first we are creating a client for our step function, because once the approval Lambda will trigger, it need to send that particular task token with the message that the manager has approved. Okay, so for that, what it will do, from the API itself, whenever manager will click here, task token will be added, right? So from that API only, I am extracting that particular task token. Like earlier I have discussed how in get API you can extract the query string parameter. So using that, I am extracting the task token. That task token I am basically using to send the success status along with the task token in our step function. And here in the output, we are sending that approved. Okay, that is manager will approve that. So because it is approved, so what if you observe our step function here, what will happen, that if you see that in choice state, if the body is approved, then it will go to success stage. Next step is success, right? So that's how basically it will work. So what I will do here, I will copy this particular approve handler, and here I will create a Lambda function first. So here I will go to Lambda, create function, approved handler, and Python we are choosing create. Okay, and then here I will delete the code and paste that. Okay, right, I will deploy this one, and in the configuration section I'll go for this one also. I will be keeping the timeout as 30 seconds, and in the permission section, because this Lambda will send the task token to step function, so it needs the step function access. Okay, so I will provide that. So I will add the permission. I will go to step, AWS Step Function full access, and apart from that I will search for API gateway also, so that I can provide Amazon API gateway full access. Okay, maybe I can keep this particular one, and then here I will attach the policies, right? So here our approve handler is ready. Now in the next step, we need to basically create the reject handler. So here I will open the function in a new tab, and here I will create another function, and this will basically handle the reject case. The same code like approve handler, only thing in the body part we are sending reject. That's okay. So here function name I can put reject handler, and here Python 3.9 I'm choosing. I'll create the function, right? So here I can remove the existing code and paste that. That's all. And here I will deploy this one, and then again I will go to configuration for this. I will change timeout to 30 seconds, and in the permission section I will provide step function and API gateway access. All the API gateway is not required because it will automatically come, so let it be step function only. AWS Step Function full access. Okay, I will attach the policy, right? So here it is pretty much done. So here our reject handler code is ready, approve handler code is ready. I will close unnecessary open windows, and then here in the API gateway, now I will create two different resources. Okay, one is get method, and here this is basically for approval. Okay, so for approval the resource path is approved. I will create that, and here I will attach the integration. Basically here I will add the Lambda function, that is basically approve handler whatever I have created. Okay, so here approve handler, this is the Lambda, and here I will create this one, right? Similarly, here I will go to routes, and here I will create another get method, and that will be called for reject handler scenario. I will create this one, and here also I will attach the integration for Lambda function, and here this time I will choose the reject handler Lambda. Okay, so that way once our API is getting called with approved path, the approve handler will be called, which will send the task token with approved command in the body. If our manager is clicking the reject link API, then the reject handler will be called, which will send in the body rejected and the task token also to the step function, so that it can continue. As simple as that. Okay, so if I go to routes, here, sorry, if I go to API, currently we are having, this is our base URL. Okay, I will copy this particular one. Make sure I will deploy this particular one also. So here auto deploy enabled in our dev environment, so that's fine. It is automatically deployed. In the dev environment, what I will do, in the actual Lambda callback handler, here I need to update my API URL. Okay, so this is for approval, and here basically this is for reject. Okay, right? This particular resource path I kept same only, approve and reject. If you see here in the routes, approve or reject. Okay, along with that we are just passing the task token, so that way it will be uniquely identified for different requests, and the task token our this Lambda, this backend Lambda will take, and then based on that it will send again to step function. Okay, right? So here what I will do, I will deploy this particular Lambda function. Okay, cool. So our Lambda is deployed. Now what we will do, we will add trigger to this particular Lambda SQS. Okay, because if you observe, this particular Lambda will be taking the information from SQS. So I will just take that SQS, and here queue is this one. Pack size I am keeping 1 only, just for experiment we are doing, and here I will add that. Okay, so with this our pretty much all these stuffs are ready. Now let's make a run and let's see what is happening. Okay, so manager's mail address is the first key what we need to provide. So here manager's mail address, in the ACS here we have used this particular mail address, so the same one I'll be using. Okay, this account's mail address, so here I will paste that. Okay, and the employee name is suppose Kalia. Okay, so here I will copy this one. I will go to my step function here, and here I will start the execution. Okay, just I will paste that, and here I will start the execution. So if you observe, it is just send the message to SQS. Now it is waiting. What will happen? Automatically our this particular Lambda should be called, which is callback handler, because it is triggered from SQS. So let's see. If I go to monitor section and if I click on few logs in CloudWatch, here we should see the CloudWatch log, because the Lambda has to be triggered, right? Few logs in CloudWatch. So here you can see just now the Lambda trigger log came. If I just click, see here no error came. This is the main message part. If you observe here, manager mail address, the employee name for which you are requesting for promotion, both of them came, and the task token as unique identifier came. So whenever we will call the get API, then we need to add the task token as query string parameter. Okay, so here this is the task token, and using ACS the mail is sent successfully. If I go to my mailbox, here you will see your approval needed for promotion. Okay, and that's where the beauty of human approval. If you see here, our step function is stopped. Okay, until and unless the manager is clicking in between any of these two links, our step function will not proceed further. And if you observe this, this is basically our API what we created. Just along with API, after question mark task token is attached. Okay, this is for can you please approve. This is for approve handler, and this is for reject handler. So suppose for Kalia I want to reject. Okay, so if you observe till now, this particular step function is keep on waiting in the same step until and unless the manual approval happens. And suppose the manager is clicking on the reject handler, so it return null. That is fine. So what is happening in the backend, basically the reject handler Lambda should be getting called. So let's see. If I go to reject handler, and here if I go to monitor section, and here if I click on few logs in CloudWatch, here we should see one logs. Okay, let's observe. So here this is the log, and here see one error occurred. What is the error saying? That provided task does not exist anymore. Okay, maybe what happened to this log? Let me just check. If I just click on this, not this log, basically this was the log. So here it basically saying that the provided task does not exist anymore. Okay, so task timeout happened as per this, but here actually in step function we have not configured anything just for timeout. If you observe this step input here in the SQS, in the output here, see here it worked properly only. If you observe in the step output, body is rejected. Okay, that means what? That means basically the reject handler Lambda got called. Maybe for some reason in CloudWatch logs it is showing like that way, but here it worked perfectly fine because in the body it is coming as rejected. So let's do the experiment once more. So here I can give some new name, Ranjit. Okay, for Ranjit I want to start the execution. So here you can see it is waiting. So what will happen actually in the backend, that first our Lambda function for callback will be called, and then it will basically send one email, can you please approve or reject. So earlier we have seen reject handler work perfectly fine. So let's see for approve handler. Okay, so here if I go to approve handler, here I have clicked. So in our step function, see it went to success block. Here if you see in the choice state, in the body it came to approved. Okay, why it came to approved? The reason is in the backend the approve handler was called. If you see here in the monitor section, if I go and if I click on few logs in CloudWatch for approve handler, here you will observe the approve handler is called. Okay, let's see. So here you can see that approve handler is called, but here anyway it is throwing an error, but actually it worked fine. So here if you see that this particular Lambda actually called 2 times at the same time, 1:33 p.m. at 17 second and 1:33 p.m. at 23 second. Maybe 2 times it is getting called due to some reason, but that's fine because once the task token is used at least once, then after that if you are calling that same, then obviously it will say that provide task token does not exist. Okay, so here you can ignore this kind of error because for the first time it ran successfully fine, and here also it has worked, right? So this is how basically you can work with your human approval step in a step function. Okay, just you need to make sure you are using the concept of callback, right? Just I have shown like that same way. So hope you understood this particular video. All these codes I'll be providing in the description box or in the comment section. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share and comment. Subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now. And don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you.